Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Scott and I'm joined by my masked hero in Rob once again. And we are here for a special episode where we're going to be talking about a WWE event that we were privileged enough to see live in person just last night. And of course, many of you out there, unless you were in the small Wembley Arena, wouldn't have done. So that's not us bragging. That's just talking about the nature of the house show. But hey, it was a very, very interesting show to say the least. So we'll talk about kind of some of the stories that come out of it as far as how it's going to affect WWE long term, what's going on with WWE coming over to the UK next time, and also just kind of observations for what we saw from the kind of late 2023 house show experience. WWE Live is always an interesting kind of thing to see, A, for the show it put on, but also B, for kind of a little bit of a sneak preview as to where they might be going in storyline and who's working with each other as well. So we'll be touching on that right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, yeah, so welcome back to the channel here on YouTube, or those that are listening on the audio versions on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We welcome you to Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling. And yeah, we are going to kind of jump in and just talk about our experiences last night. We were very lucky to be invited down by those on behalf of WWE to the show here in London for the Sunday Stunner, as they call it, Rob. That's their kind of fancy gimmick name for a Sunday WWE show, essentially. They used the Saturday night main event if it was Saturday, but we were here for a stunner on a Sunday. Great logo, I've got to say.
Lovely.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Right there as well, a little bit of a hint. But LA Knight was there in person as well. That's the interesting thing about this kind of house show experience, ain't it, Rob? We've been to plenty of house shows before, and we were talking about it on the way, just saying, you have no idea what you're going to get, like what matches you're going to get. Sometimes they announce a card, sometimes they don't. For this one, you didn't even know what stars were going to be there. We were kind of assuming it would be a SmackDown roster, and that's pretty much where it ended up being. Quite a bit of SmackDown branding as well on the show itself. But overall, a good experience. We'll talk about the matches, what we saw, what we liked about it, and just the overall experience. But with that in mind, what are your kind of main thoughts on the house show we enjoyed here in London?
It's fun, man. Obviously, it's always a privilege to be invited to kind of those sort of shows, and to be able to kind of talk about it as we are now. It's weird because I feel like even as fans, we go in and like we get to watch the show and think, oh, okay, and you just think for a second, how cool is it that we get invited to these sort of shows and then we get to talk about it? And it's
very privileged.
It's still cool, isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah. Like it's so fun, man. But yeah, firstly, Sunday Stunner is what we like to call you.
Is that me or the audience?
You in particular.
It's Monday now, though, Rob. What's this? Moody Monday, I'll be.
Yeah, Mundane Monday.
Hey, nice. Maybe not a good tagline for the podcast.
Stolen from Taz, by the way, from the Taz show. I'm not going to claim it.
Oh, fair enough. Right, then I clearly don't listen to the Taz show. But...
Unbelievable.
There's a lot of wrestling podcasts to keep up with, mate. Come on, forgive me.
Yeah. No, the show was good. It was really good. As you said, it was very SmackDown heavy. I don't think there was anyone from Raw, was there?
I think it all was SmackDown, yeah.
It was SmackDown. Because we were discussing this on the way, and we said, how would they get from, if it was anyone from Raw, how would they get from the Raw flying back over to the States and travel and stuff like that?
We're trying to figure out time differences and how it might work and whatever else. But they went with a kind of more sensible option. I'll be honest, I think what I noticed in this show is that it felt in some ways like a B roster, but it made me realize just how many stars they really do have that it could. I think at any other time, not that it wasn't great, but like we saw Io defending the women's title, which we'll get into later on against Charlotte, and we saw LA Knight in the main event. And it's like that, and against Solo Sikoa, and it kind of shows just how kind of strong their roster is, So like just the way kind of it ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're on top of the card, sometimes you're not. Charlotte hasn't really felt like much of a kind of big deal lately. But as I said to you last night when we were there, like there's going to be a day where we look back on it and go, I can't believe I saw Charlotte Flair live. And then it wasn't just that for us. Very fortunate to have seen her live quite a few times. But yeah, it's things like that when you go to these house shows that you're just like, man, it's just fun. Like the fan side of it kind of comes through in that sense as well.
Yeah, definitely. I would even the obviously Bailey was there. We get the generic "Hey Bailey" song, which I love. Obviously, we'll touch on that when we get there. But I think we were saying this yesterday. As much as I love going to like PLEs and live recordings like Raw, SmackDown, or anything like in between, for me, going to house shows is probably my favorite. And I know that sounds weird, but there's things that they do on the house show that you think, that's it's so good, but you'll never get it on the show. It was like, and I don't like a lot of messing around when it comes to wrestling, like comedy stuff. I can take it if it's done the right way.
Yeah.
But too much, I'm not a fan. But last night they were very Street Profits for sure, and Pretty Deadly were kind of breaking the character a little. Yeah, very comedic at times. And I thought, you know what, it's refreshing to see that, because they've got to be like the heel, like the straight heel, and that's it. There isn't anymore. So
Pretty Deadly's characters are quite jokey anyway, but they can definitely colour outside the lines. Not defined for TV, where they've got a pay-per-view to sell or a storyline that have to be very particular about. You're right, really could kind of shine in other ways. And there were so many times last night that there was just really fun spots, as you say, going to a house show or a live event, as you call them. They do things that you wouldn't see on a main show and you wouldn't see on the pay-per-view. But there were so many things that I said to you last night. I remember going, man, if this was on a PLE, this would be like a really fun spot. Like Twitter, X these days would go ablaze. So everybody would be kind of ranting and raving about it. But as you said last night, but that would take away some of these kind of silly, funny, goofy spots. They are really entertaining, but it would take away from maybe what was serious about the storylines that were going on, the big moments on that match card as well. So it kind of is the best place to do it on these house shows. And sometimes you do get some of this stuff, but I know a lot of people saying WWE definitely like to kind of amp it up themselves because they want people to go to live events without feeling like they're not seeing a proper show if it's not televised or recorded. But seriously, like if you haven't been to a house show before, as Rob said, so many people see this as like the best shows because they are just really fun. They really do completely different things than they would get away from TV.
Yeah, obviously we'll break it down like some of the stuff that we see as we go through the matches, obviously. But as I said, it's just there's a time. I think there's always a time and a place for comedy in wrestling. People like Orange Cassidy, Santino Marella, like those Foley when it would become Mr. Socko and he become more of a, unless it's a specific character that's got that comedic trait,
comedy based,
then the minute they start doing it, it's like, do you remember when we've seen things on the indies when one will do get ready to put them in for a suplex and then someone else will run in and they'll join in another one. Like, and I get it and I do like it, but with WWE that isn't their thing. So when you get to see it in WWE, it's so refreshing that you think these guys do have fun.
They're just out there having fun.
They're just out there having fun and putting on a show, which obviously they always do. But they get it's a relaxed feeling. I think when they're relaxed, the better stuff for them comes out.
Yeah, definitely. Like the pressure's kind of off in a way, they're there to kind of entertain, have fun themselves, it seems. So let's go through some of the things that we saw on the show itself. So you mentioned Street Profits. It opens up with what I said to you felt like a Butlin show because you had the babyface Brits and the heel Americans. It was that typical kind of thing that you see on a kind of low budget kind of indie show over here. But no offense, that's just a trope we've done over the years, but plenty of shows like that. But it was kind of hokey and silly, but it was fun. Like, of course, the hometown guys, so to speak, Brits at least got their kind of shine. And then the Street Profits really, like, first time seeing them proper healing it up. Of course, we've been talking about on the channel lately about this kind of strange turn they've had, and we have a big kind of point to focus on later on when it comes to this as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But the Street Profits essentially do come out as heels, and they really play up to it in quite a comedic way, as you say. And I was saying last night, I think this is what's great about Street Profits' character is that they're kind of cocky anyway as baby faces, you know, like they're very sure of themselves. So it's an easy kind of character to switch into a heel, and I think it can work very well. And I think house shows is where they're really going to kind of get that under their belt and get used to kind of it felt surreal that it was little kids there booing the Street Profits. Like, that felt weird.
Yeah,
but it's worked already, so I'm glad to see that. The match overall was a really fun one. They did these silly spots, as you said, and I won't ruin too many of them, because if you do see them later on this week, or you know, on this kind of loop, you might honestly, these things get redone. Sorry to burst the bubble of, you know, wrestling, but we all know what it is, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They will do some similar spots at other towns. So please keep that in mind. We don't want to ruin too much. But like, just simple little ones where, like, you know, Pete Dunne getting on, or Butch getting on the turnbuckle and getting a cheer, and then Montez getting up and getting a boo, cheer, boo, cheer. But it was really funny how they played into it as well.
Yeah.
But the match itself was really entertaining as well. I really enjoyed this, man. I think them working together is something I'd like to see more of. And again, this is why house shows are great, because you get to see people kind of perfecting it. I said to you last night as well, my first WWE show was a Raw in that very same arena, Wembley Arena, where I saw Snitsky take on Kane. And that was a massive feud at the time. And I was so confused because they were about to face each other at the pay-per-view and they hadn't faced each other yet. So I was seeing a preview of the pay-per-view there live in person. So again, another reason why house shows are so interesting. What did you think of this match overall?
Yeah, it was fun. As you said, you know, like the little cheer and boo thing, Montez playing to the crowd. So obviously he goes to go up again for the turnbuckle. They boo, but he doesn't go up. And then he's like, I fooled you.
I got you, yeah.
Talking to the audience a lot. And it's just, as you said, it felt like a Butlins entertainment on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was really good. The match overall was really good. There was a lot of good spots. The Brawling Brutes are looking, they always look good, man. Like I feel weird without Sheamus.
It does.
Sorry.
I don't know what's going on with him. I think that's probably another conversation for another day, but it is odd not seeing Sheamus because, you know, again, we mentioned it last night that, you know, Butch, Pete Dunne, everybody's getting by. I think all he needed was to be a babyface again. I think everybody is fully behind them two now, and it's great to see. If you haven't seen it already, I've had a conversation on this channel with Pete Dunne / Butch as well, and he talks about his kind of character change and kind of using more of his Pete Dunne character with what we're seeing now, and that's certainly been the case over the last few months. Again, a bit odd not seeing Sheamus, but hey, again, that's another conversation for another day. We're going to keep this episode quite brief, but anything else to mention on the opener before we move on?
No, obviously the hometown won, which is always good to see.
Yeah, it was mainly baby faces going over.
It was very babyface heavy, but obviously we'll get onto it a little bit later. But we thought something was going to happen, and boy, I think that was the first time I've ever watched something. Obviously, you've been sort of like with PLEs and stuff at a live show. We thought it's going to happen.
It was a big tease.
My days!
It's what we're being right now, but we will get to it later on. But all right, let's move into the next match. Was the next one the one with
Santos?
Sorry,
Santos Escobar, wasn't it?
Yeah, Santos Escobar representing, of course, LWO against Karrion Kross. Was that one? Was that second?
I think that was second.
I'll have a quick check. I did take some pictures. If you haven't seen him already, guys, follow us at Reb Noise, REBNOISE, or at RM Pro Wrestling as well. But yeah, I think that was the next match. We'll go with that one anyway. Really enjoyable match as well. Santos Escobar, and this is what was kind of interesting as well. The crowd definitely were very, very kind of youthful, and there was a very high pitch tone with the audience. It wasn't as much as your smart fans that you might get, especially here in London. Of course, the London crowd is kind of famous around the world in the wrestling scene these days, of course, after examples at previous Raws and SmackDowns, Money in the Bank. We were grateful to have the opportunity to kind of cover that last year as well, earlier this year, I should say. Clash at the Castle, of course, not London, but still here in the UK. It was a different feel, weren't it, for the crowd? And I think something that really stood out to me was the Santos Escobar chant that nearly got going but didn't quite, and it made me go, nah, it's a different audience here tonight. But a few of them tried to do the "just sold my car" to Santos Escobar, which he loves, by the way. I saw a video of him on Twitter X doing it with like fans outside the hotel or whatever, which was fantastic, and I'm glad he likes that. It's a strange chant. It's a long story short. It comes from a football chant, and the TV advert is very, very confusing. But there we go. That's how our songs tend to pick up. And speaking of picking up, it didn't quite pick up with the audience last night. Some people tried to sing, and it didn't really get going because, again, it wasn't that crowd. If there's any kind of negative about the night for me, it was that it didn't feel like your typical British rowdy crowd. But it was an opportunity for the kids to go out and see this show. So, I got to be, open-minded to that as well. It was a very good kind of fun family kind of day out for that. Karrion Kross, though, I think they work quite well together. I think it's strange. I said last night, is Karrion Kross that kind of person that we mentioned Snitsky earlier, and I made this comment last night. He could be looked at as a Snitsky in the future, in the sense that he had a kind of big spell. He was there for a while. It was just mid-card, and then he's gone. That's it. Or he could still become, I guess, what he still has potential to be. Him, especially with Scarlett as his double act, it really is strange seeing him kind of fall further down the card and feel like he's got no kind of direction at the moment. And it's a real shame. I've seen him on Chris Van Vliet's interviews and kind of just seems like a great guy and kind of really passionate about the business. And and always kind of pitching things as well. I really do hope we're going to get something more of him. But yeah, this was a fun match. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I love the LWO stuff. Something that really stood out to me, and obviously I don't want to segment them into one area or another area, but a lot of the LWO before had a lot of lucha stuff, right, from WCW, like Ray, Eddie, so on and so on and so on, right? There was a lot of masked or lot masked wrestlers. I was going to try and use a longer word, but no, I'm not going to. But we haven't really got that with this LWO. Only Ray, and I actually like that because we don't get the generic. I mean, I love Dragon Lee, and there's other guys in the or have been in the company, Lucha House Party. But the minute they have a mask, it feels like it doesn't go from the LWO. It becomes a lucha thing. So they get the lucha. As nice as that is, it kept for just specific people is great. So with the LWO, they're not put under that generic bubble of, they're lucha guys.
Yeah, I think it's easy for them to show personality, not being under a mask. I love a masked wrestler, I do, but it kind of gives them more opportunity to kind of be themselves. Like, weirdly enough, just time to plug something just there as well. We spoke to Santos Escobar a few months ago just about that, actually, him unmasking here in the WWE when he moved up from, when he was NXT originally. And also, I should have mentioned earlier on, we talked about the Street Profits being heel and how strange it is. Well, it's not that strange to me because Montez was quite heelish to me a while back.
You started it, man.
So I triggered the heel turn, it seems. But anyway, but yeah, going back to this match, I think it was a good kind of simple match, enjoyable. I think they worked very well together. And it was just a fun one.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. I tell you what, though, it's very Kross's entrance. I think when you see it through a screen, the black and white and the production value that goes into his entrance is so weird when you see it.
It loses something live, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It loses that. It's still great, but it loses that weird like cinematography magic because the way they do the fall and pray and then he appears and you just think, oh, it's so good. Then you see it last night because you said you hadn't seen it.
I don't think I'd seen it live. It was the first time I've seen it live. Yeah,
and you felt really underwhelmed.
Yeah, I was really excited to see it. I knew it wouldn't be the same as TV because production and like we were at the side as well, so it weren't even like we could somewhat get the appearance of. I knew how they did it, obviously, but and I knew I weren't going to see in black and white, and then color was going to come on. But still, it was. I don't know. It was a bit odd, but hey, I still want the best for him. I think I hope. I don't know. I hope they get someone.
He could be such a monster heel, man. Like,
yeah,
he really could. It's just the booking. I don't know what it is. It's really weird. He has all the potential to be like the next monster heel. Like, everything about it, the presence, the characteristic, the mannerisms, having Scarlett with him, the entrance, everything just screams killer. Like when it was Killer Cross, everything about it's just perfection. Yeah. But for some reason, he doesn't get boos and he doesn't get cheers.
Yeah,
it's really strange.
Something needs to click, and it just isn't.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the fans or what, but he's so good. Like,
I think there's a perception about him as well. I think he's kind of, I don't know, like people are ready to kind of expect him to fail. It's a weird one, man. It's a weird vibe around it. But I do think they've got a lot of potential. We did actually miss over a match that did happen before this. It was Bayley. You mentioned earlier on against Shotzi as well. Decent match, as we said earlier on. It was, Bayley really playing up to the whole kind of London thing and stuff like that as well. I plugged a few interviews already, but of course we've got an interview with Bayley on the channel, so let's go check that out as well. Decent match. And then another one we mentioned earlier on is the one where we really did get a shock. Well, nearly. We were still shocked. It didn't quite happen the way we thought it was, but we had Charlotte Flair going up against Io Sky for the women's title. And we were saying on the way, look, it's so rare that you get a title change at a house show. We talked about Finn Balor beating, I think, Samoa Joe in NXT, AJ Styles winning a few years ago as well. It is so rare. And it genuinely looked like we were going to get it. And it was a fantastic match between the two of them as well. I think it's the kind of match, I wouldn't say it's PLE caliber, but it was still very good. Like, it was like a condensed version of a PLE quality match, I felt. But essentially, you had the Charlotte, first of all, it kind of countered the moonsault, and then Io countered the moonsault. Io counters the moonsault. Charlotte counters Io's moonsault after that with her legs up, and then spears. Was it a spear? It was, wasn't it? And then
so Io does the moonsault. And then obviously she grabs her face. So it wasn't on the stomach, it was on the face. Yeah. So they had the legs up like that. So it was really good. So it was like for like. And then when she done that, Io was turning round, so she had her back to her. Then when she turned around, she got mullered with the spear. And but that was like,
it was impactful.
8 out of 9.
Yeah, it was the closest to a free count I've ever seen at a house show, which, you might be thinking, but you didn't get over it. But honestly, in that moment, when you're so sure we ain't going to see anything, they genuinely made me believe we're about to see a title change, which is fantastic. And that's a credit to the referee, and that's a credit to the two performers and whoever's kind of booked that show and that kind of match as well. It was fantastic. It was really good. It genuinely made me believe it was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of moments where it was like, okay, that doesn't work, take out. And again, I think that's what's great about these live shows, because there was things that they tried to do to really incorporate a blend of styles and talent.
Yeah. Those kind of head scissors that went a bit in slow motion.
Went a little bit, it was a bit of that, and then they spun around quite. They done the head scissors where they kind of do a 360 for a bit, like a proper luchary sort of thing.
And then it went into like an armbar or something.
It went into an arm, and
they went in slow. It started out really good. It was,
it ended slow. Like some of them moves, and it was just like, they just need to perfect that, But then it could be one of the things where they go, do you know what? It just doesn't work. Let's just take it out, and then we can build off. But that's what these live shows are for.
Yeah, and I feel like we might have spoiled, because they're in Nottingham tonight. Right now, they could be doing that same spot where there's nearly a free count. And in a week's time, they did the same thing again. So again, these might be spoilers for future house shows. So apologies if that's the case, because again, that's kind of how they run these things. But
if you get to see it and you're at that house show, man,
I hope you get pulled in like we did. But yeah, a really enjoyable match. Probably maybe match of the night. We'll hold off onto that for just a moment. Then we get we'll start wrapping up in just a bit, because we are only having a short one here tonight. We are doing a stream on our film and TV channel, guys. If you want to join us over there at RN Screen One, we'll be doing a live watch along of The Crow tonight. If you're listening after tonight, there we go. Loosely wrestling based because of Sting, I guess. We got you can go back and watch that recording once it's not live anymore. There we go. So then we had basically the rest of the LWO, but without Rey Mysterio, against Pretty Deadly, which was a really, really, really enjoyable match again. Because Pretty Deadly were fantastic in front of live audience. Yes, there were kind of more hometown guys again, in the sense that they're British, but they were fully in heel mode. And I said last night, it must be strange for them because of the younger crowd as well. They were literally doing that style that they would have done for their. They know what it's like to play off of little kids from Britain, basically. You know, the kind of humor and stuff like that. And I think it really shone. Like culturally, it was a good kind of show in a sense, you know, like it wasn't a clash. So, but yeah, what did you think of this tag match?
No, I really enjoyed this. One of my favorite matches of the night. I would say definitely Charlotte and Io was probably match of the night. That was, I would say, even with a couple of sloppy things, that would have been an amazing main event for Raw or SmackDown. You know, it had that potential, it had that caliber, and we got to see that last night. But this match, as you said, you got Pretty Deadly, obviously, the English nation kind of thing on. They know how to work these crowds. You know, Elton Prince, as I was saying to you, I've got to see him perform before he was signed to WWE, and he was doing the same thing. Like, and that's not a knock on him, but he knows the psychology.
Crowd work is fantastic. Crowds. Yeah.
So being able to talk to him, and then he'll do a move, and he'll go, "If you keep doing it, I'm gonna do it again." And then they've done it again. He goes, "And that one was for you." And he was playing off, and he pointed one person out for about 2 minutes, and he was just blaming the kid. And I was like, do you know what? That is what British wrestling is. They play off to the crowd, and do you know what I mean? It's such a carnival in the
it goes all the way back to even like World of Sport days and stuff like that. There's some fantastic clips of wrestlers doing the same thing and kind of really. I guess there's smaller, intimate venues. Not that Wembley Arena isn't an arena; it's still a fairly big size. I think it's about 12,000, but it was still somewhat intimate, I guess, by WWE standards. So it was really good seeing it. I mean, it's all great, you know, not a bad seat in the house. We had great seats ourselves, but I think wherever you sit in Wembley Arena, you're kind of lucky. It's a very good venue to watch WWE.
It's great,
all right, let's move on to the kind of last things we saw here. We saw Grayson Waller having a Waller effect. Fantastic, really kind of over in a heel sense, and. We were thinking there's going to be a surprise here, you know. People were talking
I blame you. I got excited, man.
I'm sorry. I heard rumors about Cena. I didn't believe it myself, but
you made me believe it.
Sorry about that. I was recording just in case, but yeah, there was no Cena. But Lashley come out, which I love. I love Lashley. Babyface Lashley, though. Hold on a minute. I thought you were heel with the Street Profits. So we finally flipped the switch with the Street Profits, and yet Lashley came out as a babyface.
Flip it with Lashley.
It was so confusing because he was massively in babyface mode.
I would say Lashley got, other than LA Knight, Lashley got the loudest pop.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It really did.
I think you're right.
And I don't know what it is. If his face, we were saying this on the way back. If his face, keep him face. If he's a heel, keep him heel. Yeah. But make it work. Don't stop flipping the switch with him. But
that's the problem they've had with him already. Like in the last, there's so many times in the last 2-3 years where you can't. He's kind of a tweener, and then they just solidify it. And we talked about before in the channel. But what makes this one worse is that's already been an issue as well with the Street Profits, and he's their manager or something now.
Yeah, but then is it he's a manager of them and they're heel and he's a face?
That doesn't make any sense because he was acting like a heel to get him on side in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I really don't know, but what he's doing with his entrance now, with the boom, boom,
which is a babyface thing. He was doing it as a face.
I tell you what, I not once when we've ever watched Lashley come out, obviously with his song, which is one of my favorites, by the way. He's on my gym playlist, right? Hearing that and going, yeah, that's good. Like, I really like it. It's just a great song, nice and powerful. Proper shows like a bit of destruction, and I instantly hear and think of Lashley. Never did I think just pumping my fist to the beat right at the end. I was like, wow. And also, I just looked around and everyone's like, boom, boom. And I was like, what the heck?
He started doing that a few months ago and it did start picking up, but then he really did it. Yeah, because he's not meant to be. I don't understand why they made him work as a face. It was so confusing. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic. It was massively over.
Yeah.
But I don't get it because now what's going to happen on SmackDown next? Like, is he? But even seeing him wrestle was interesting because he hasn't done much lately, you know, like it's but yeah, that was a very strange thing there. And we did have the main event, as we said earlier on. LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa. This was a London street fight. And
just quickly, what's the difference between a London street fight and a Chicago street fight?
Like, stop being pedantic, all right?
No,
if this was on a PLE, they'd use like London themed weapons or something, but they didn't even do that. There was nice table spot though.
Do we even have a London themed weapon?
I don't know. We can figure something out.
What would that be?
A red phone box, a police baton.
Just Solo to come on with a massive phone box.
Throwing sausages in someone's face.
Lollipop sign.
What?
Lollipop lady sign.
That's good. I like that. But anyway, it was a decent match. It was obviously what it was going to be was LA Knight coming out of there victorious, sending the fans home happy. As he did, he also got on the mic a bit as well. So
got goosebumps. I did.
Yeah, because that's what you were most excited about, right? Was seeing LA Knight live in this kind of version of it.
Yeah, so we were talking. I was like, I never got to see Rock and Austin in that moment. And controversial, Hogan, but big babyface pops. But I have got to see Triple H in the Shield and Undertaker, which is one of my favorite moments ever, seeing him because I was like, I got goosebumps then. But certain wrestlers have this aura, and I felt like when Knight come out and everyone lost their mind, and he was doing a "Let me talk to you" and all this stuff, and I was like, that was like the smallest taste of how it may have been for Rock and Austin in the Attitude Era.
Okay, yeah.
And then he started doing the LA Knight thing and all of that, and it's just it wasn't even a long promo. He was just talking to Solo, and he was like, "I'm doing this," and I was like, "Do you know what? This is amazing." Like,
yeah.
Just
you feel privileged to see contenders like that in their prime, you know, in their kind of you know, lightning in the bottle when they're, you know, striking while the light, you know, iron's hot. All the kind of things you want to use for it. I think it's interesting. Of course, we've covered it on the channel plenty of times already, but you know, his kind of rise has been a really interesting one. Of course, we will be covering this weekend. Crown Jewel, of course, where he's going up against Roman Reigns for the title. Going to be an interesting one because it's one where you've got to protect him, and I don't think he's winning it. And I think we've already kind of hinted that the other day, but we'll be back, of course, in a few days' time tomorrow, I should say, for our predictions and preview episode on Crown Jewel. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and join us live for that on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. And then after that, we will be doing our build-up show. We'll also be doing our watch-along for the event, and we'll be coming back with our instant reaction recap and review podcasts as well. So please subscribe to check those out on this very channel. As I mentioned earlier on, you can listen to this podcast now, audio versions on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But we appreciate everyone joining us here on YouTube as well, whether you're live or on demand. Now, as we start wrapping up, Rob, because again, we've got to hop over to our film and TV channel, RN Screen One, where we're going to be talking about The Crow. Of course, it is a film. So, you scared me, with that one. We have to be doing it this time. We'll kind of wrap up here. Really enjoyable. Great to see LA Knight in his element. If you want to see what his entrance was like, by the way, we've uploaded a short on this very YouTube channel of his entrance there last night here in London. And also it's on our TikTok and Instagram at RM Pro Wrestling as well. But they did also announce next year's tour, which I know a lot of people were really excited about because rumors kind of circulating at the moment, of course, about more PLEs in Europe next year. We didn't get the PLE announcement. If I'm honest, Rob, I don't think we're getting a PLE in England next year, but we'll see. I'll be happy to be wrong about that. But we've got Berlin. Of course, the other rumored one at the moment is Paris, so that would be pretty cool as well. But as you can see rolling on the bottom of your screen, if you're watching a video version, they did announce that in April 2024 they're coming back. They didn't say at the time, they just said where. They didn't say the dates or the venues or anything like that, but we've got now. It's the 18th in Cardiff at the Motorpoint Arena, 19th here in London at the O2 Arena, of course, where Money in the Bank was held, and the 20th in Belfast, Northern Ireland at the SSE Arena as well. So it felt right that they were going to announce that, Rob, because of course, you know, we usually get them as this kind of WrestleMania revenge tour. They used to call it right after WrestleMania season itself. And of course, it's usually October, November. So we've ticked that one off the list now. It'd be great. Hopefully we'll get to go along to the show at the O2 as well. And of course, any European PLEs, I'm pretty sure everyone on this channel is going to be tempted to head down to wherever that may be here in Europe as well. But anyway,
Also,
go on.
I was going to say, if you do, Rebellious Noise are going to be there. So if you see the masks, just come over.
See the masks, come say hi.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I've got two more things, by the way. Firstly, I want to see more Shotzi because I really enjoyed her match. I did. I enjoyed it. Like
I didn't watch much of it. You know, I got full disclosure, guys. I went to the bar and to the toilet.
you were busting, and that's not disrespectful.
That's not.
He did say before the match.
He
was like, I do need to go to the toilet. I don't want to miss a match. I need to go. But
and then I ran. The thing, I bigged Wembley up earlier, mate. Now I'm going to bring it down. I said to you last night, I was annoying. I went to the next bar kind of toilet area, women's toilet. Next one, women's toilet. Next one, women's toilet. And then I literally was, and then some steward saw me and went, it's the next one. So thankfully, he noticed my kind of hissy fit.
Now, what's really annoying? You ran, we come out right, and we went right and went all the way down to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
But it was really annoying because if we'd have come out and gone left, if you'd gone straight, there was a men's toilet just there.
I was going to say, I felt like I'd chosen the wrong way. But 3 in a row just felt a bit mad. But anyway, that's another podcast for another day, moaning about facilities. But it's been good talking wrestling with you, mate. Go on.
And I've got one more criticism. It's not a criticism, really. But actually, it's you, actually.
What?
Yeah. Normally, when I go to a wrestling show, firstly, bro, if we could go a little bit longer, the tale of us trying to pick where we were going to eat food, right, is a podcast in itself, by the way.
There's a lot of moving parts, man.
Yeah. Your head was just literally like, it felt like I had a road runner with me. I was just going everywhere. But I have never drunk so much alcohol at a wrestling show before. I normally get like one drink and let it last.
Am I a bad influence?
It was so fun though, but obviously London prices a little.
Yeah.
But mate, I think we're like 5 beers, 4 or 5.
Well, you know, I'm glad I was a fun influence.
A good influence.
Good. No, it was good fun. Again, if you want to see our kind of photos from the night, check us out on Instagram at RM Pro Wrestling, also on X. Give it to you if you look us up on there, and at REBNOISE for the main Rebellious Noise socials as well. But anyway, it was a really fun night. Once again, thank you so much to WWE for their hospitality and allowing us to come on down. We did enjoy it, and hope anyone, if you went to the show as well, let us know in the comments what you thought about it. If you didn't go to the show, let us know what you thought about this podcast, and if you've been to any of the other house shows recently, let us know some of your fun stories, because again, house shows are really exciting. They are so different to your other live events, so it's always a good opportunity to see WWE live when the cameras aren't rolling. Anyway, I've been Scott. This one's been Rob. We want to thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you haven't already. And we'll see you tomorrow for our Crown Jewel preview and predictions episode. And, of course, plenty more Crown Jewel content throughout the week as well. We'll see you then. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.